All right, Notre Dame has some recent experience trying to get a season back on track because remember last year?
Yeah, I think everyone does. After that Week 2 loss to Northern Illinois, it looked like the playoffs were out of the question before they rattled off 10 straight regular season wins. Can this year's team do this? Let's compare the two squads.
All right, let's start with 2024.
Yeah.
Their defense, well, it was not the problem in that
Exactly.
game. They held Texas A&M to just 13 points. They got multiple interceptions, including that one right there from Adon Schuler.
And you talk about guys like Xavier Watts, Riley Mills, Howard Cross III, three big playmakers right there. And you're right, every single time Notre Dame, the Notre Dame defense took the field last year, you always knew they were going to make a really, really big stop.
And then even in that loss to NIU, they only allowed 16 points, so not a lot of points allowed there. But right now, this year, they've already given up 68 points through 2 games. Sabrina, what's just going on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've only had 1 interception, 1 sack so far through 2 games, and that's the biggest thing. Can this Notre Dame defense be consistent throughout 4 quarters? And I know Marcus Freeman talked about that being execution, but it's just not looking good right now, Jackson.
I mean, Marcel Reed threw for 360 yards and 17 completions. I mean, that last 4th down touchdown, that was just kind of inexcusable right there to allow that as a defense. All right, let's go to the quarterback position now, where this year I think looks a little bit better.
Yeah, and much like the defense, it's complete opposite stories for them.
Yeah, exactly. Riley Leonard did just enough to win versus A&M, but he did most of his damage rushing for 63 yards. And then remember this, Sabrina, NIU, 2 interceptions.
Yep. Yeah, and I think, looking at last year's quarterbacks conversation, Riley Leonard, it was a big question mark after that big NIU loss, of course. But again, he used his legs a lot to make big plays. But again, down the field, he kind of struggled.
I mean, his first touchdown pass came in Week 4. I mean, remember we had the tracker of how long it took for him to get that first TD pass. But now to CJ Carr, he's been reliable.
Yes, yes, definitely impressive stuff. While he did throw a pick against Miami, he's had 3 total touchdowns. Then versus A&M, he had another interception, but he threw for nearly 300 yards with another score.
Yeah, I mean, through 2 games right now, he's thrown for 188 yards and 3 more touchdowns than Leonard did through the first 2 games. So while there has been some inconsistent moments, I mean, it's a down-the-field passing attack that we did not see at all for the Irish. All right, finally, we have to mention right now the schedule for these first 2 games.
Yeah, while both years featured Texas A&M, the other opponent was very different.
Yeah, last season they started with that matchup against the Aggies down there in Texas. That win was considered basically a turning point for the Irish to win at an SEC opponent. But then Marshall 2.0.
Yeah, losing to Northern Illinois, a team that finished with 5 losses. That was a big one. Obviously, we know how it ended last year, but through 2 games, it was a big question mark.
This year was another road game, but at a top 5 opponent in Miami, and then hosting a top 20 team in Texas A&M. So while there's no wins, it is different than last year because it's been a much, much tougher road.
And then we talk about them only losing by a few points, right, to really tough opponents. That's good for the Irish, but also, it's again, defense is just a huge question mark right now.
I'm going to have plenty more coming on that later on the show. And now we're all just wondering if they'll be similar with another 10-game regular season winning streak coming out of that.
And